As you know, my name is Christina Joy Whitaker, and I am the founder of the Executive Women's Retreat. We help women who are on the cusp of calling, who understand that their career and their story needs to extend beyond the four walls of their organization. So we help them by creating a safe space and a community where they can learn how to leverage their career experience and turn it into platforms as thought leaders and industry disruptors, as speakers, as authors, so they can land 5, 6, and 7-figure deals. During my entire career, I've been known as a strategist. I've always been known as someone who's just very savvy, who a lot of times knows beyond what they should know. And in that aspect, what I learned what my superpower was is really helping people to strategically unlock their voices and to get familiar with who they truly are called to be. I think a lot of times women, we don't always have the time and the space to figure out who it is that we actually are. We go to spaces where we're applauded and lauded or where we're kind of pushed, but rarely do we actually get to ask ourselves the question, who am I and what do I want to do? And so I really think my superpower is helping women figure that out, and so that they also can give voice to it. You know, it definitely came over time. It's something that I think I've always been able to do, but I could never necessarily name it. As I was working in my career, I started in Big Four consulting. I was working with Deloitte Consulting, switched into entertainment, working with the Walt Disney Company, and I've always been in these high pressure environments from time to time again. So while I always got these great opportunities, I didn't know what my superpower was for me. I didn't necessarily know how to cultivate it because I was good at a lot of things. I didn't understand how to tone it down. And I think a lot of us as overachievers, we get into that role where it's like, you know, there's so many things you can do and you're not exactly sure what is that thing, what is that superpower. So honestly, it came out of iteration, but it was a natural gift where during my lunch breaks or after work, I would help women define and position who they wanted to be in industry. I would help them double in salaries. I would help them launch ventures and not even think about it. And quite frankly, it wasn't until I had what I call my quite literal come to Jesus moment when I was laid off and I had time to figure out, who am I without a title? Who am I without all of the things and achievements? And so I leaned into what was working and what was really resonating and getting results for other women in the industry. And I've since continued on. And it's been amazing in terms of us being able to cultivate an additional $6.5 million of earning potential among Black women thought leaders, among Black women executives as they go out on their own ventures. And so that's really how I found it. I think in terms of using my superpower for women in corporate America is really to let them know or to give them the space to develop in a way that's in alignment with their calling. Like I said, there's so many things that affirm us to operate in what I call our capability. We gain a lot of confidence in developing a path that we know is going to lend to success because it's traditional. Do the things that are secure. But sometimes we do feel called to do other things. And so if I could do anything, I have so many conversations with so many women having these secret plans that they want to enact. It's kind of like you communicate on the outside, yes, I want this job and the next job and the next job, but internally you ruminate on potentially starting a business or, you know, launching a venture or launching a product service line. And so I would, if I had all power in the corporate space, come to alignment with some of those things and to give space to let people know you don't have to develop that in secret. It doesn't have to be something that you can only do way later down the road, that if you feel called to it, it's for you to do. But a lot of times we dismiss it because it might seem uneasy or you're unsure of the steps, but you are definitely prepared to do it. It just takes courage to really step into it. One lesson that I will always remember, or really two. One was so poignant because it gave me the boldness to really define what I wanted. I remember I was going in for a job interview and I was the top candidate. And I was about to walk in and a woman pulled me to the side And she told me, they're going to lowball you. I'm going to tell you, they're going to lowball you. I want you to ask for what you want and don't back down. And in that moment, it was a little bit shocking because I had done great. And so in my mind, I'm like, why would they lowball me? I did amazing. But that information really gave me the boldness to not play a game that I was not called to play. I set my chips on the table and they met me there. And it really became a defining characteristic of how I operated my whole entire career, understanding that I could stand on my merits, that I was in demand, and that people would meet that demand when they saw the value. And so that was an incredible piece of advice, and I give it all the time. Another piece of advice when I made my transition really into full-time entrepreneurship and really helping women unlock their voices in a different way, a woman just told me when I was facing a layoff, her name is Marshawn Evans Daniels, that your safety net isn't so safe when someone can take it from you. And I realized firsthand the realness of that situation. What I had put my identity, what I thought was safe, had now been taken from me. And so what it really allowed me to do was, one, give me grace in the process, but also understand that it was my responsibility to build an existence that was going to be wholly mine, not something that I had to depend on someone else to make it work. I think I use my power definitely in the women we work with every single day. I am someone who I consider myself a person of high integrity. And so I want to be able to steward the gifts that I feel like God has given me. And I know I'm very good at helping others see themselves in a new light. I know I'm very good at helping them strategize and figure out, how do you bridge the gap? How do you find a through line to talk about the breadth of your experience in a way that's going to set you up for everything you ever dreamed and imagined? And so I want to be able to steward that well. And so we do that through, our retreat. We pour in, we always are training people. And I just also love to give freely in terms of mentoring. And so I pour into young women as well. Anyone who wants to hop on a call, I make sure to just share that knowledge because it is meant to be shared. And I want to make sure everybody understands the value of that message. Honestly, it's faith and family. If I had to boil it down to two things, I am the daughter of a preacher and a teacher. And so that has been ingrained in me. I know, and I'm so grateful for the life that God has blessed me with. I'm so grateful for the gifts that He has blessed me with. And so I take that very seriously. I take what I feel like He has called me to do very seriously. And so that gives me a place of power because I know where I'm getting it from. I know it's not just from me. And in terms of my family, I had a wonderful upbringing. I had parents who were very intentional about exposing me and my siblings to so many different things. We were in orchestras, we were in the great schools, and I talk about my mom often, but she's a wonderful role model for me. I just remember her always being a fighter and advocate for her family in general. She, in fact, I'm from Washington, D.C. My brother had a learning delay, and she sued the public school system to get the resources for my brother and won. I saw that as a young girl, and so it just really instilled in me that I have the power to do so much. And so it's something that has always been inspiring and I love. I always reach back to my family. To love the intentionality behind your creation. I think it took me way too long, maybe not too long, but it took me longer than I would have liked for me to understand my full value and my full self-worth, and that there was not a mistake in my design, that I am wired the way I am wired for a reason, and people need me to be myself in order to create transformation in their lives. And so many times when we show up as our authentic selves, it's not always celebrated. Right. But I was able to find an arena where it was. And so just keeping myself encouraged to not beat myself up and try to be anything I'm not. You were intended to be created the way you are, and it's needed in this world.